In the previous video, we used an array of objects and a for loop with a counter variable to space out those array of objects using the counter variable. So they all have the counter variable and a multiplier to give them spaced out 100 pixels apart, and we use the negative symbol so they are starting off screen on the left and moving to the right. If we want to space them out vertically as well, there's a number of different ways we could do this. We could use the counter variable again and the modulo function, which is the remainder function. So I could say I modulo 2 for the y value, so that spaces them either at 0 or 1, because I modulo 2 is always going to return either 0 or 1, which of course would put them all way up at the top of the screen. But then again, I could use a multiplier and then to make them in 2 rows like this, and then perhaps some addition to push them down the screen a little bit. So that's one way. It's very uniform because of the way that every other car is either now at 200 or at 400. Another way I could space them out is to make 2 different for loops and initialize half in one and half in the other. So you could, again, use the, you could space them so only the even number ones. You could say I equals I plus 2, and have every other car located at a very specific place like 300. And then I could do another, so this will only initialize every other object, every even object. I could do the same thing, say in I equals 1. I is less than 100. I equals I plus 2. And then, so this will be for the odd numbered objects in the array, and then put them, I don't know, somewhere 300 and maybe 200 here. And then you could see, again, that's every other object, but you can get a little bit more specific that way. And you could do this using counting up by any amount of numbers. So if you wanted 3 rows, you could count up by 3 and just have 3 for loops. But you do need to initialize all the objects that you plan to use. So for example, if I only initialized the even objects, I'm going to comment this out and try to play it. I'm going to get an error message because half of the objects I'm trying to display down here and move down here have not yet been initialized.